Force always. My name is Diz, aka David Zammit. Let's get on with the show with the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. Making news this time around. Well, this weekend is the big San Diego Comic Con, which is more for you, obviously, comic book people out there, and I say people, and it's on this weekend. Star Wars has a partial stance there. The big one is a Star Wars Hasbro panel that's happening on the Friday the 24th. We may get some possible reveals of Starfighter 27. That's the movie coming out in 2027. Starfighter, we may get some sort of reveals of possible figures, but I'm sure they're not going to give much away. I'm sure they've learnt their lesson where we get our spoilers from, which is from toys that get early released. But yeah, so the main panel for Star Wars at San Diego Comic-Con is going to be a Hasbro panel, which is on Friday the 24th. So really, we should hear about that in Australia sometime Saturday, if there's some sort of leaks or some sort of possible reveals at that time. Anyway, to more news, The Mandalorian and Grogu, you can buy it digitally right now. You can buy a digital copy right now. But if you want to see it on Disney Plus, you got to wait till about September, November. And if you want to get a physical media copy, which I'd love to get personally myself, even though I thought it was a good film, not a great film, the packaging is great, the film is good, and I think it's still worthy. That will be August 24, but it won't be coming onto Disney Plus till about September, November. There's no announced date as yet. To more news, which is regarding The Force Awakens. I respect and love every single subscriber I've got, and finally, I've hit 200 subscribers. It's taken a long time. I must admit, I've not put in the content in as much as this year. I just thought, let's get this ball really rolling. I sort of treat it seriously with a bit of fun, but the amount of videos was minimal until this year. But yes, 200 subs on The Force Always. And if you want to subscribe to The Force Always while I'm on this, press the notifications button as well, so you can get the up-to-date video drop. I'm here 3 or 4 times a week with the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. And it's coming from an Australian source in Melbourne. That's me, Diz, David Zammit, in other words. Anyway, but thank you very much for every single subscriber. Anyway, so that is the news for this time around. Let's get into the views. Views is either my viewpoint, opinion, or view idea on a story in Star Wars. So this time around, it's going to be about some news coming to hand only just recently by one of our fan favorites here at the channel, Michael from Werribee South. He sort of brought me some information that I thought would be good for views. So he's talking to me about AI should be treated like Spotify in the way it is transacted. The only difference, I said to him, is that the AI films that you see on YouTube come free at the moment, and I'm a bit surprised they're not taken down as quick as they legally should be. But at the same time, I love those films, and I think it's great to see. But you can't really treat it like Spotify. You'd have to work the system a little bit stronger, because AI is taking a creative intellectual property from someone else, and also the actor themselves, and putting it in a fan film for yourself. Usually, how royalties work in like the music world or things like that is you pay a fee, a big fee, and then you also pay them a percentage of the profit that you make from whatever you're selling it as. I don't think many AI fan film creators online will be paying upward to 6 figures or even 7 figures for a character to be in one of their fan films. That's what you'd roughly pay, and also, depends on the negotiation. Then you would have to evenly give them a percentage of what the video makes. So whilst it's free right now on YouTube, enjoy those fan films. But I think soon enough, legalities will bring these things down, because it is interfering with the actor themselves or the actresses, and also the intellectual property of the creators. So look, Spotify works in where you play the song, the actual artist gets a piece of the royalties that Spotify play, but in the form of AI, it's not really playing something, it's actually using something and then reusing it in your own way. So it's two different sort of ideas, if you can understand. It definitely could work like a Spotify, but you would have to really fine tune and how one gets paid and how they get paid and stuff like that. It's not as simple as Spotify. Where you just play the song, you pay the artist through Spotify. Spotify then pays the artist for the usage of that song, from the downloads or the playing, the replaying, or whatever it is, and that's what happens. Anyway, that is a basic form of my views this time around. Let's now get into reviews. Reviews this time around is going to be something that's right behind me. These bad boys here. Posters that I got. They're hard cardboard posters. The tall height, about 163 centimeters in height, probably a bit taller than me. I'm about 163. They advertisements for episode 3 when Kellogg's was releasing a range of cereals for that launch back in 2003, 2004. I kept these cardboard cutout posters sort of things. One has Yoda and Obi-Wan, and the other one has Darth Vader and Anakin on it. That's the Yoda one, that's the Darth Vader one. Now it's a bit hard to see as I'm sitting in front of it, but I'll give you a picture of it as you can see now. These things are really hard to move around, and but I've kept them in the most pristine condition possible. These things I'd be very hard to depart from, but even though it's just a scrap bit of paper with Kellogg's and talking about episode 3, they would have definitely value, and there's something very, very unique. I give these particular posters 10 out of 10. Anyway, I just love them. They're right behind me right now, and enjoy them. They're going to stay there for a little bit of a while. Anyway, that is my reviews for this time around. Let's get into the interviews. Interviews is my last questions I had in my last particular video. Let's open it up. Let's have a look at the questions, wherever they may be. Here they are. The questions on my last particular video, at Cronzy Donzi has written, I can't wait for Doomsday. The reason why I said that is because the last particular video I did a review on Avengers Doomsday, the trailer, just come out this last week, and he said, I can't wait for Doomsday. In which I will reply, I can't wait for Doomsday either. I'm not a big Marvel person. I do love it, but I'm just not like with Marvel like I'm with Star Wars. But it's each to their own. I still am really intrigued by it. It's definitely going to be a great release, because Doomsday comes out, Avengers Doomsday, at the same time at June 3. I'm not big on June series either, but I do enjoy them both in their sort of own rights, and it will be a great, crazy day in the cinema. Packed as hell with people just going anywhere and everywhere. Anyway, thanks to @CrunzyDonzy. The next comment or question is by one of our fan favorites here, Michael from Werribee South. And please, anyone can actually write in any questions they want or send in a comment at any time to my last particular video. Anyway, Michael from Werribee South, he's asking, who owned R2 and 3PO before Luke's uncle? The person who owned them was Captain Antilles. I think it was Captain Antilles, and he was based on Alderaan. Alderaan was the planet the Death Star destroyed in A New Hope, the original Star Wars film. 3PO was definitely more of a use to Princess Leia and the family. R2, I'm unsure exactly his appearance. He was last seen on Mustafar, whilst Anakin was really turning to the dark side in episode 3. and he was sort of, I think he was partly seen in Rogue One, which is the movie in between. But yeah, so they ended up on the planet Alderaan. Anyway, the next question or comment by Michael from Werby South, yet again, can you believe, is Star Wars oversaturated with content? No. Star Wars has been pumping out content in the last 10 years, more than ever before, because there was a period of time that us Star Wars fans thought, well, that's the end, and that's the end again. That was, when, Return of the Jedi came out, we thought, well, that's the end. And then the prequels were announced, and we thought, well, that's the end, tied up the sequels, even though there was an announcement way back in 1999 that they were going to do 7, 8, 9 then, but then I think Lucas got a bit fatigued or just left it as it is. I don't think it's oversaturated. It just needs to be thought upon a bit more. I think the creatives need to have a bit more control than the actual money people. But at the same time, this is show business. It's not show friends, as once a famous YouTuber had said, and I believe that. So you really do need to work out how to make money from these things to keep going, because unless it will be fan films, which is great, but it's show business. They need to make money, but I just think it's not oversaturated. It needs to be a bit more careful in how the story progresses. And personally, I'm all in for having the Star Wars going forward all the time. That's what I think. Anyway, so the next question or comment from Michael from Werby South, yet again. What is your expectation of the up-and-coming Spider-Man movie? Good question, because next week I am going to go see the film. I've got actually 2 tickets already on 2 particular days. I'm pretty excited for this Marvel film. I think this film is actually going to make more money than Doomsday. That's my prediction. And it does look good. My expectations is to really keep that human element, the emotional element, but keeping the story simple, and personally getting away from this multi-universe thing. It just makes it a bit too, too detailed, too technical. But anyway, I just want the human element involved, being, Tom Holland's Peter Parker character, having a real sort of emotional connection or reconnection with his girlfriend that doesn't know who he is anymore, as when we last left them in the last film. But I'm looking forward to this film, and my expectations are pretty high. I really do want this to rank about 9 or 10 on the ranking meter. But yeah, so next week I will be giving you some special edition, maybe 2, depends on the re-review, if I can fit that in, but I'll definitely be giving you a review on the first time I go and see it, which will be the opening session. And I think the opening session here, it's not a midnight session, which I'm a bit surprised with, but it's going to be a 10 a.m. session on the Thursday. Technically, that is still ahead of everyone else in the world, because our Thursday is your Wednesday, and you get your release of Spider-Man on your Thursday, which happens after our Thursday, if you can understand what I'm saying. Anyway, so my expectation for the up-and-coming Spider-Man is pretty high, and I think it's going to meet it. I just sense that this is going to be a good film. But anyway, the next and final question from Michael from Werby South is, what is the most unusual fact you know about Star Wars saga? Well, there's so many unusual facts, but I'm going to pinpoint one that a lot of fans know about, but it's an unusual fact. In the original film, A New Hope, in one of the opening scenes on the Death Star, when the stormtroopers raid a particular holding cell, one of them accidentally hits themselves on the head from the low door, the opening of the door, and no one actually saw this in the editing process. It was just unforeseen until fans picked up on it, maybe months or years later by rewatching it. But one of these stormtroopers hits their head accidentally. It was not meant to be, on the opening of the door as they're coming through into one of the holding cells looking for whoever they're looking for at that point. And that's an unusual fact, but there's so many unusual facts. Just another one really quickly. In Attack of the Clones, the guy who says to Obi-Wan Kenobi, do you want some death sticks? He was an actor on a TV series here in Australia. Real corny type of character on, I think it was Neighbours, the TV series. Very clean cut sort of next door neighbour type person on the series called Neighbours, can you believe? And he was, just not so popular as a manly man, but was a popular character at the time. But it was sort of one of those guys that was not seen as a great actor, but he did get a great line in the Star Wars saga, because a lot of people say that to me, to anyone who's in Star Wars, do you want some death sticks? In Attack of the Clones, that character, that person, that actor is an Australian actor in Neighbours. Anyway, there's a couple of unusual facts. There's so many of them, but there's a couple there. Anyway, that is the show for this time around. Subscribe to the channel, The Force Always. I'm here 3 or 4 times a week. This week has been quite intense with the amount that I've done. Again, thank you very much for the 200 subscribers to this channel. I know it doesn't sound a lot to a lot of channels out there, but every single subscriber, my journey with this channel, even though I've been here for 10 years, is quite different to some other Star Wars channels, but I do take it seriously. I may have not had completely all the time in the world to do these type of videos, but in this last year, I've really just stepped myself up. And but until next time, my friends, keep rocking.